All right, good evening. Welcome to the Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Brenda Faye McCain. Hey, Faye, how you doing?
He done
you know
sparked
my,
the
you know my,
argument.
you my Faye Bay.
I'm your baby.
You my Faye Bay today. How you doing, baby?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing. It is kind of hot. It's a little warmer. You know, this room here does, accumulate some heat, so we got to bear through it for today. But hopefully everybody's doing great. We had a little storms in up there. I'm praying for the people in Oklahoma because I think they had some tornadoes going to that area. So we're praying for them. Hearing that Hamas and Israel is considering a ceasefire, which is good. Your former President Trump is on his trials right now for his was it sexual assault trial or something like that? I forget. I mean, he gets
hush money trial.
Yeah, hush money trial. Thank you. He has so many things that are going on. It's ridiculous, and yet he can still run for president. So we got a lot of crazy things going on. And I was just talking about to Kenny, the Rockford Goat himself, with Brenda here, that there's another U.S. soldier detained in Russia. We're trying to figure out why are people going to Russia? What is going on there? And for those who are living so close to the Chicagoland South suburban areas, that Dalton Mayer is getting in more trouble every moment. She thinks she's the Black Trump. The FBI is going to let her know she's not. I'm sure in a couple of months or so, you're going to be hearing about that girl going to jail. I mean, she's just doing everything crazy. But those are some of the things that happen in the world around here. We got some stories we're going to share as well. Baby, what you got for me?
As far as news,
Just anything, praise reports. Thankful to be
Thankful?
the husband of, wife of your husband Rick McCain.
yeah, that too. Since you be bragging on yourself.
I don't ever brag on myself.
You know what? I want to do a shout out. Happy birthday to my girl Karen Cage. She just turned a big 60 yesterday, and in the process lost her niece. So my heart is saying happy birthday, and prayers are going up with you and your family.
All right. So we got some. We're actually bringing back a guest for the month of May. We're gonna have Brittany. How do you say Brittany's last name?
I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Shutani.
We'll find out when
Let's
she
just
gets on
call
the
her
show.
Brit.
We just call her, BC.
Yeah, BC.
She's gonna be on the show. We got a line of Brenda's got a line of women coming on the show. She all of a sudden it's gonna be May is gonna be Women's Month, and we might schedule in. I got to find out. I'm still working with it. We're gonna bring in some mothers with cancer survivor children, and maybe a mother that a child passed away. We're working with this organization right now to have them come on to talk about that and share about that with other people who might be going through the situation of having a child that has cancer and how to go through the process. So we're looking forward to bringing that show as well. But we are bringing guests back. Bringing guests back. We're going to be talking today about today the words are going to be the words I speak, and then it's going to be for the marriage ministry. We're going to talk about I want to be an example. And I don't even think Brenda know what I'm talking about on that. But hey, we've got some things we're going to go to, babe. If you're ready to move, let's go. What are we talking about? Even though I told people what we talking about.
And Christian Real, we are talking about the words I speak.
Now, a lot of times some of these topics that come up, it's because, it's something that's on my mind that I'm thinking about or it happens to me. And I have a tendency, and I've done this for many of decades, to reflect back on my life. I remember that song from Sparkle, if you look into your heart with a positive mind, take self-inventory of your person and your glory and leave the bad things behind. I have always been...
You got to sing that right.
Okay. I'll let you sing it the next time. I looked... Every time I used to reflect back, I would always reflect back on the bad things that happened in my life. And I know some of you all may not do that, but I look back, and I think we have a tendency sometimes, babe, to look back at, some things that did not go right. The bad seems to always outweigh the good. This relationship didn't work. This job didn't work. This happened to me with this. And we kind of reflect back on that, and it causes us a lot of pain because it's not necessarily the words we speak, but it's the thoughts that we speak. And we speak those thoughts from our past to our present because we think about how painful things were for us in our past, and we never try to look beyond them, and we allow them to affect our future. And Isaiah 40:31, it says, "But those who have hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings of eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." But as we talked about last week, do we really trust in the Lord? We have to be honest with ourselves that sometimes, babe, we reflect back on our lives, and the majority of times that we look back more on the negative than the positive.
That's true, but some of us, it's an even kill. You look at the good and the bad, but 99.9, like you said, the bad you look at. And I know with the things, major crises that happen in my life, I use it as my testimony. But I do look back at all the joys and the triumphs as well. But like you said, the title is The Words I Speak. So if you're reflecting on the past and you're just looking at the negative, are you speaking more negativity into your life? That is the question for you.
Now, I will say this. We talk about it. The old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt us. We talk about that as a protection against what others will say to us. But we have nothing to protect us from the words we say to ourselves, from the thoughts that we think ourselves. And we will think negative if something happens wrong. I will tell you this, and I'm going to get a lot of people mad at me to go to church. There are so many Christians that join the church because something wrong has went in their lives, instead of looking at the good of having God in your life. There's so many of us that will come there on a specific date because we need to hear a word, because we're going through so much hell. Girl, Satan been busy. We speak these words into ourselves. Now, somebody else say something like, girl, you don't look nice in that dress. You got a protection mechanism. She just jealous. She hating. She this. But we don't have any protection mechanism. when we speak words of injury, of pain, of harm, of misery, we think sadness, depression, anguish. We reflect back on our lives and we say, this job, I lost this job and it caused me so much problems. This man in my life, this woman in my life, this situation that happened. We look back and we focus so much on the negative that it's hard for us to move forward. In Joshua 1:9, it says, "For I have commanded you, be strong and encourage, be not afraid, be not discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." We don't look at that. That's a word of encouragement. It tells you, be strong, be courageous. So that means speak words of strength, speak words of encouragement. Don't speak words of fear. He says, be not afraid, be not discouraged. Don't speak words of fear. Don't discourage yourself, because God, the Lord your God, is always with you. But babe, we take God for granted.
We do, but I do want to say this one. You had mentioned when people, they'll go to church when things are going bad, right?
Yeah.
Or they going through something. That's, hey, as long as y'all go and get up in there, get into the four walls and everything. But it make me think back in 1991 when I went to church feeling really, really bad after going to one of my friends' funeral. Just didn't want to go to Bible study. That's the day that I met you all over again.
Yeah.
So that worked for the benefit of God.
And it does. I mean, and again, I'm a preacher. I'm not telling you not to go to church because things are not going well. But I'm just saying, you typically have people join the church because they think that this is, I need God's help. It's not because they want to have a relationship with God. And that's okay, because whatever way you come in is fine. But I'm just saying, what happens sometimes, hear this, if we enter that way, that everything is bad, a lot of times what happens with people, they leave because things are good. I don't need it now. I'm doing fine. Because your reason was negative. It wasn't because you wanted to have a relationship with God. So some people will leave because something is, I don't even want to be around this church. They fighting over seats. This person saying these people at church are just as evil. Because your relationship with God was based on what you wanted from him, not what a relationship you could have with him. And a lot of times when things will go better, I got a man now, so I don't need to go to church. He ain't going, so I'm not going. And it's not the right reasons to be coming. Because let me just say this. Satan knows the weakness of why you're there. How many times, let's just be honest, how many times you seen some females leave the church because their man ain't going in no more? Well, he ain't there, so we just stand home a lot now. I'm gonna be honest with you. A guy, if he's going to church, he going. If his woman ain't going, that's fine. He going. If he really into the church, he going. Okay, but a lot of times it's the men that draw the women out of church because they went to the church because they were hurting, but now he has replaced their hurt with love that supersedes the need for God at the church.
I gotta talk to y'all ladies about that. But y'all.
And because you came there with a negative thought process, you now have replaced it what you think is better, that love of that man. And then when it don't work out, girl, I'm back because it just didn't work out. Well, it could have worked out if you'd have stayed there. But you decided to come because you were hurting, not because you needed healing. And that's a big difference.
It sure is.
You were coming because you were hurting, not because you needed healing. Because we all need to be healed from our sins. You know, we all need God's healing power, his glory, his mercy. We all need the healing of God. But if I can replace your hurt with something else that might make you feel good,
Temporarily. Mm-hmm.
you know, you will start holding on to that feel good instead of doing good.
Oh, and I'm saying temporarily is with that man.
Right. I mean, it could work out. I mean, you came to the church. You were, you know, in a bad situation. You met me. We've been together for 30 some odd years. I'm not saying it can't work out, but Brenda didn't meet me and then all of a sudden we stopped going to church, you know? And so I digress on that because this is for anybody. Negative words will start feeling as though they're normal if you allow them. Have you ever noticed you'll hear somebody talking and they sound so negative? Everything that comes out their mouths is negative, negative. They never seem to have anything. They're fussing, they're arguing, everything they want to. But yet, they don't think that way. They don't think that. They don't think that at all. And will get upset with you because you brought it up. What you mean? What do you mean? That's not how I'm acting. And you see it. You'll see that. I mean, you've been around people. I've been around people. Well, you can see. This is Christian Real. You don't even want to be around them when they come because they're so negative. It'll feed on you, and you like, I can't. Where did I get this negative spirit from? Because that person was there, spewing it into you, but they don't see it anymore because they have allowed it to become the natural part of their existence. And so because of that, they don't see that it could be an issue. They look at it as being normal. Now, Matthew 11:28 says, "Come unto me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." But I can't take rest from God if I've now have made it to my point that the words that I speak are just the way that I live. You don't know me. You heard that before. You don't know what I went through. Yes, I do. You tell me all the time. But I'm not trying to down anybody. I'm just saying, be careful. Because the person that can hurt you the most is you. We hurt ourselves so much with the words and the thoughts that we put out there, the words we speak, the tongue that speaks, the words that we speak, life and death is in the power of the what?
Tongue.
The tongue. And so if I'm speaking life, I'm encouraging myself. If I'm speaking death, I'm discouraging myself. And so whatever comes out of your mouth in the morning is usually how your day is going to go.
It sure is. It sure is. You got to wake up, one, thanking God for another day, and two, having a plan for your day. I mean, we know weapons form against us. We pray that they don't prosper. But you know what? When they do, you got God. That's your weapon right there to knock down everything that comes your way. But I do know, like, sometimes in the morning, especially if I have a big project I'm working on with Ife Designs and stuff is not working right, I know I could be negative and hard on myself. I got a deadline, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And sometimes God just say, slow down, Brenda. Just, you forgot to do your morning ritual, which is me and my praising God, reading the Bible, reading some scriptures, just uplifting myself. I don't care. It works every time, people. That when I stop worrying about, okay, I got to get this done. I'm on the time crunch. I can't figure something out. And God pulls me in and he say, just read the scripture, read your daily word, do something, focus on me. And then I could go back to focusing on you and let your day just go as flawless. Because one time I got caught up in my praise, babe. And I'm like, okay, got to the first thing out of my mouth was, oh my God, I'm already an hour. And I had to catch myself because I was going to say I was an hour behind I was worshiping and I'm fussing about the time I'm giving to God and something I was worried about. He knocked it out in 30 minutes because I gave him all that time of positivity, putting positive thoughts in my mind and my head and everything. And that day went just flawless. And I have to keep, remember and reminding myself, this is what you need to do. Like you said, if you focus on the negative, your whole day gonna be negative. That's just the way it happens.
Yeah, and the thing that I started this off with is saying that a lot of times when I reflect back, I would look at some of the negative things that happened to me: loss of job, relationship issues. Not talking about with Brenda, before relationships injuries I've had, car problems, anything. You wake up sometime. We woke up one time and the bathroom was overflowing because something happened, and so that will affect your whole day. And what I found myself doing a lot of times when I reflect, I would look back on a lot of things that didn't work. And I said, you got to stop that. So I came up with this thing that I say to myself now, and I say to other people too. If something happens to me, I would say, if this is the worst thing that happened to me, I'm blessed. Because I know something could happen worse. I mean, we make our issues 10 times bigger than what they are. We had a flat tire was going to a play, and we could have been, something always happened. I'm like, okay, well, the tire got flat. I was able to pull on the side of the road. They came and fixed the tire. We went to go get us something to eat, and we changed the day. I could have been upset about that. I'm like, why? Because it could have been much worse. The tire could have been flat, blown out. The car could have, tilted, fell over, had an accident with somebody. Anything could have happened. So I'm saying that in a world where so many things can happen, the blessings that we have when things happen to us, and I said this to the one time this guy, and he didn't like it. I told him, thank God for small problems. That it's something that it's because it might be big to me, but it's small to him. And I like this verse in Romans 8:31. It says, what then shall I say in response to these things? For God, if God is for us, who can be against us? And if you have that kind of thought process, if God is for you, no one, including yourself, can be against you and win. Not saying that they won't be, but this is basically talking about who can be against you that could win over God being for you. And you have to say that, well, you know what? I know that God is for me. This has been a rough day. I've had a rough year. I mean, this first year, 2024, man, everything was happening wrong. I mean, I walked in at one time and tripped over and had to buy another camera because I knocked the camera over. I mean, spending $400 some odd dollars. I mean, everything was going wrong. Then all of a sudden, the car we had, the Mercedes we have for 15 years, the back frame messed up, and then my mechanic comes over. He says, it's time you get you another car. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I done got the parts and everything, and getting the parts and everything for this. You tell me. He said, you this can't be fixed. You might as well get you another car. And everything was going wrong. And there are times in our lives that happens. But what then should I say in response to these things? If God is for me, why am I against me? Why am I allowing my words to be against the power of God for me? Because God is not. You remember that time he said he couldn't do anything in Nazareth because it didn't have any faith. We have to have the faith to not speak words against us. Yeah, there's going to be weapons formed against us that's going to try to prosper, and even coming out of our own mouth. What then should I say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? We have to learn how to speak words of encouragement into our lives. Spew words of encouragement. Even when something goes bad, give God praise. God, hey man, I tell you, I say all the time, God, I'm so thankful you're here because I can't do this on my own. I need God's help. And as long as I continuously fall upon my face, acknowledging I need him, then I'm going to be okay, because anything, it stops me from speaking words against me, because problems are going to come. You know, I didn't want to have a flat tire. Like the tire was, somebody dropped some screws on the ground. The hole was so big you couldn't even plug it, so you had to buy another tire. I mean, I didn't want to do that, but I was thankful that I had the money to do it.
We have a comment here.
Yeah.
And it is from our special guest. It says, I'm not going to introduce her now, but I'm going to read a comment. It says, now that's the one. Folks can try it, but they definitely won't win. That's true. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that we could change the narrative of our lives, just putting God first. Like you said, you wake up with negativity, your whole day gonna go negative. But I'm just gonna use this, not synopsis, but this analogy of being a writer, that narrative, change the narrative of your day, change the narrative of your life. Don't let no one have the narrative over your life, because once they do, they spin your story whichever way they want to. So that's why I love the fact that I could reinvigorate my life all with Jesus Christ, knowing that, hey, I'm stuck. God, like, we got this. Just come to me. We could change this throughout the day. That's like, people pay attention to the little things. Like I said, we had a rough week last week from beginning to almost end, but it didn't stop us doing what we needed to do.
Amen. Hey, we're going to go on, because we got our special guest going to come up in about another 5 minutes, and we're going to play some music here. And this is going to be Pastor Mike Jr. and James Fortune with Impossible. We're going to have a couple of commercials, and then we come back. We'll have our special guest. This is Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, evangelist. I forgot to say that. Evangelist Brenda McCain. We'll be right back after these songs and commercial breaks. For those on Facebook, YouTube, stay with us. We got something for you. All right. Babe, what stories you got for us?
This one is haunting in a way. It's a tip line call reinitiated 1966, the year that I was born, in Calumet City. It was a cold case that led to arrest of a 79-year-old man. Now you think about that. That was 58 years ago. This individual, this person that didn't have nothing to do with this cold case, called in 2022, ultimately led to the arrest of a 79-year-old man in a nearly 60-year-old cold case. Girl name was Karen Snyder. She was 18 and he was 19 at the time. She was found dead at 11:10 p.m. on November the 12th, 1966, in a home in the 400 block of Wilson Avenue. He was a suspect. The young guy, James Barbier, was a suspect at that time, but nothing stuck to arrest him. But because that person, grandmother, used to talk about that case all the time, he made that phone call and was like, well, what's going on with it? So they reopened it, and they caught the guy, babe, by his DNA. Can you just, nearly 60 years.
Yeah.
That's powerful. DNA don't play us.
I think the thing that's interesting and powerful is that they were still looking at the case. I'm sure something came up, but they still could look at the case some 60 years later. And then some people are going to think that, well, this person has lived his life, so even though, he's going to go to jail now, he's pretty much had his freedom, and now he's going into old age. But at least the case was solved. And we love looking at those shows, 2020, Dateline, sometimes even 60 Minutes may have a story, but we love looking at those stories all the time when they do cases like that. And it's amazing to see that someone would do that. I'm sure the man at the 60 years was probably shocked to death that they came to him with, this DNA example. And let me just say this. We look at it now because back, I think DNA came out in the 80s. They didn't have this kind of thing. So, we've been dealing with DNA for like about, 40 years? Just think of what else could happen that they could find things even faster. I mean, because DNA really speed up the process of finding the individual, and it's so exact. It can find a family member of that, so it can trace it back to you, and so it's amazing how they do that in so many ways. And so, I mean, I'm glad that they did finally find the individual, but it is amazing to hear that 60 years later they finally find the man that killed the
And
woman.
it's the places where he lived at and where he's going to be back in court is in Markham on May 21st. So, but they could arrest him, but his blood was found on her dress, and that's the thing to get me. They just begged that away, and because they didn't have the DNA back in '66, you could just take the little fiber. I mean, that's something right there. The
Yeah.
fiber of a dress nearly 60 years old and match it with him because he was a suspect, but they couldn't prove it.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like, that's
amazing
deep.
that you can have some blood on a dress for 60 years. They could put some kind of solution on there to draw the blood out, and then be able to find 60 years later the exact individual that the blood is associated with, and that just blows you away. It almost sounds like some Flash Gordon back in the days of you in the 60s. You know, you go back and find these amazing things.
Like when they say that's just like the epitome of finding the killer or whoever in a crime with the DNA. Just like now with who's out there cheating. Believe me, cameras are everywhere that could catch stuff. So
That would be
it's like,
interesting. All of a sudden, I want to find out if my man cheating. Here's some DNA. Check this out.
wow.
You got DNA cheating. I'm sure Maury would love something like that. We've checked his DNA and we found out that he was. I mean, because they still got the lie detector test, which can be beaten in some cases. But if you can find a DNA, well, you can find out, man. Yeah, okay, we doing a DNA example. Yep, you was with her at the hotel on this date doing this and blah blah blah. I'm telling you something. The divorce rates might go up, unfortunately, but we don't know. Yeah. Okay. So we've got a couple of more, like about 30 more seconds or something like that. Hey, make sure you all check out. We got a guest coming up soon. So, but make sure you check out the JD Morning Show that comes on each Wednesday between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. only on SOAR Radio, where Justin, Kenny, and the gang talk about some great subjects just like this. I'll be saying this again on the radio. And if you're looking to do a radio show, you can contact SOAR at soarradio.com. That is soar at soarradio.com. We got about 15 seconds before we get back on the radio show. Please bear with us. We're going to get the people on SOAR Radio, 2-time Stellar Award winner for Best Internet Station of the Year, back on the show. All right, everybody, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Evangelist Brenda McCain, and we have our special guest here today. How you doing, dear?
I'm doing well. How are
Hello.
you?
All
We
right.
are good. Let me give my. I'm about to say my baby can't do that. Let me give her proper introduction. Today we have joining us the lovely Brittany. Look, Brittany, I'm gonna see Shutani. It's a
Yes,
Shutani or Shutani?
yes,
Okay.
So it
Shutani.
is. It's Shutani. Oh, she got it right. Look at
She
you.
gave me the breakdown of it.
Okay,
So you know
good.
I didn't do that on my
All right.
own. She is an associate attorney with the Lumarti. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Lumarti Law Group LLC, and the senior director of legal education for Kaplan Bar Review. Now that's something right there. Not that you're an attorney, but that's something right there with the bar review. So, I mean, she has a lot of credentials, but we're going to just focus on her with her skills of being the associate attorney tonight. And our topic tonight is all about estate planning and more. Where she working, where they specialize in this. And a lot of people, Brittany, do not know what that is. Can you explain to us first what is estate planning?
Oh, absolutely. I am thrilled to explain that because a lot of times people don't know that they have an estate. And every single person, if you have a bank account, if you have a house, if you have a car, you have an estate. And you should have a plan for what you are going to do with it or what you would like to have happen to it in the event that something should happen to you. And that's what estate planning is, and that's what my firm does. We make sure that you have something in place so that the things that you've worked so hard to acquire during your lifetime have a designation, and the people that you love are able to get a hold of them. So you have a trust, or you have a will, or you have both, because they work in tandem, they work together. So a lot of times people will say, well, if I have a trust, then why do I need a will? The will is the roadmap. It tells the people what to do. The trust kind of goes hand in hand. The trust allows for you to have things with a lineage. The trust is a living being. It is something that does not die, and so you can funnel assets into it and you still have control of it, but it's almost like having a baby. The trust is a child that you have control over, but it will never die. It will outlive you, and you get to control how it operates, and
You
it
know,
has the ability to own property.
that was one
Go
of my
ahead.
questions for you. What is the difference between a trust and a will? And you broke that down pretty good. With the trust, it's a living, like a living being, and the will only happens when someone actually died. That they have this living will, that who will benefit from what. So it's some
Absolutely.
questions I have for you, but I'm gonna let you start because I could go
Yeah,
right
no,
into this.
please.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the things I was going to say is that I think a lot of times people, you're right, people don't realize that when you have property, you have an estate, and if they don't recognize what needs to be done with it or set some kind of a will or precedence of what will happen to that property, am I mistaken that the state then takes over that property and it goes over to the state? Does that happen?
So that is a misconception.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
Uh-huh.
folks think, oh, the state's just going to take my property. No, no, it tends to just sit. And so what happens is, if you own property and you die, your estate owns that property. So the last of the two of you to pass away, the so I'm just going to be honest here,
Well, we're Christian real,
because
so please be honest.
right, because facts don't lie and stats don't lie. Women tend to outlive their men
Yeah, you didn't have to
nowadays.
mention
And
that, but go
so
ahead.
I'm just gonna put it out there. So say Brenda is the last of the two of you. So the estate of Brenda McCain will be the one to own that property. And that's what would happen. And so until your heirs claim the property, and they would have to go through probate if you don't have an estate plan. So that's another thing that people don't believe, that they don't understand. If you don't have a plan in place, you have to go through probate. You
Yeah,
have to.
and
Sometimes even if you do, you
yeah,
still
and
have to go through
that
probate.
is so true. Not, I mean,
Oh wow.
I'm not saying I was right about this. So if you tell me I'm wrong, I'm not going to be offended.
No, of course, of
We
course.
family here anyway. Brenda tell me I'm
Of
wrong all the
course.
time.
And that's
But
my baby girl.
I will say a lot of times I've heard people will say, if you don't do this, you're going to lose this.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that's not true. And this estate stays for a while, and then you have to go through probate to try to get everything together. I mean, explain a little bit of that to people, because
So,
I think sometimes they don't understand. Oh, I'm going to lose this. No, you're not. But there's a extra step that you now have to go through.
so they're not entirely wrong. There is a way that they can lose the property.
Hmm.
Um, it's in the weeds and it will take some time, but if somebody buys the taxes,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
way
right.
for folks to lose that property. And then that's a way for it to go for a much cheaper value. I mean, not to say the taxes in the south suburbs are cheap by any means,
That's for
but
sure.
that's a whole nother topic. And I shameless plug, the managing partner of my law firm is educating the south suburbs and the state of Illinois on the state of our taxes. And so he makes it his mission to ensure that anyone who wants the information can get it. He, on the, I believe it's the first Wednesday of every month, has a free seminar on the tax apocalypse. And so he lets you know that it's coming and will break down what is happening and why all of these tax bills are going up due to the reassessment. So there is a way for people to lose their homes due
Yeah.
to people purchasing the taxes. Now
Yeah.
that is how the home will be
Homeowner.
lost if
And I know
nothing is done in probate.
Brenda got a lot of questions over there, but I want to say this. Thank you all, because there's not a lot of places that are teaching African Americans about this. Uh, we're just Christian Real. Caucasians have seminars everywhere. African American people, we need to get off our behind and go to these seminars that are being taught, so you know this, so you're not caught off guard and got to go through so many things where someone will lie and tell you something to try to take your property. If you have someone like Brittany and her law firm, trying to educate you about this, please make sure. We'll talk to her a little bit later about places they can go to, things that they're doing. But this is something that African Americans, we need to know, because there's always somebody out there trying to find a way to take your property from you. But if you're educated and know the process, then you don't have anything to worry about. Baby.
I want to go back to, okay, we did the spouse thing. Well, what about an aging parent? The parent, I hate to say die off, you lose your parent, and they will the house to the children. Okay, and all the children are in agreement that they want to sell the house. No one wants to keep the house. But those taxes, again, could have someone sneak on in and buy, make them lose the house if they don't pay the excess taxes, even though it's not a mortgage still on the house. The house is paid for, just have to pay those taxes. That rule still applies to that, huh? That you could still lose your house due to unpaid taxes. But what if you're
So
going to pay for it, but the other person paid for it first? Is that like a rat race to this?
And I know you're going to answer this, but I'm sure that they give them notification
I
about
hope
this
so.
taxes that need to be paid, correct? Oh,
So-
God.
Lord.
You're scaring us
She
now.
tilted that little head.
I don't know.
this is a multifaceted question. There were a
Oh.
lot of layers to that.
Okay.
A lot of layers.
Break it down
Okay.
for us.
Right. So, first and foremost, one of the things that I'm super proud of is that when I first came to this law firm, I walked in during my interview and I was super young, not even licensed yet. I was like, I want to work here. And I am in love with trusts. And Attorney Reed looked at me like, nobody wants to do that. Like, trust, what are you talking about? And as we started to grow, we found how beneficial trusts are to our community. And the majority, I will say a good 85 to 90% of our clients now choose the revocable living trust package. And here's why. If your parent wills the property to you, you still have to go through probate court to be legally declared the heir in order to be able to sell that property.
Even though they
Can't just
will
take
to
it.
you.
You can't just take it. You
Yeah.
can't, because the estate of your parent still is the owner of that property.
Okay.
You will not be the owner until you're legally declared their heir and able to take ownership of it.
That's good information.
It
So,
sure is.
yeah. So a
Oh.
will does not allow for you to take ownership of the property. That's not how it works. So you
Okay.
still have to go through probate, but a trust does, because your parent would not be the owner of the property. The trust would be the owner of the property, and the trustee has the ability to do with this property whatever they choose. They follow the instructions in the trust. And so there are instructions that your parent would leave for you and your siblings. That's how that works.
Okay.
So your parent would let you know what their wishes are. Y'all are
Mhm.
all in agreement because this has been discussed, and there are rules within the trust, and you set it up how you set it up. And we also, I would say, we videotape everybody as they sign it. So if you can test it, then you can sue, and there's ways to go about ensuring that the instructions are followed. However, that is how you go about ensuring that you avoid probate court, a trust.
Okay. Well, I was reading on some things because I know you're an educated sister, and I said I want to know some stuff too before I can ask the proper question. What are the steps that you need to take? You know, like you hit upon, you got to have a will, you have to have a trust. Okay, just say we inherited the house. What are some of the things behind it that we need to do? Even though you did say you need to go to probate, but do you need to go get appraiser for the house? You know, what else do you need to do besides pay those taxes?
Oh, so I'm sorry, that was the second part of the other question. If you do have to make sure that you're paid up to date on the taxes, they don't have to necessarily disclose that they have how many years they've bought. You then go to the assessor and you can ask what's going on with these taxes. I want to pay up to a certain amount. You can then work with the buyer and see if they will sell them back to you. But that is something that you would have to work out with them because they've now spent their own money to purchase the taxes on this home. And it depends on how many years, because after 7 years, they can go to court and get what's called a tax deed and they will then own the home.
Yeah. So Brittany, are you telling me? I got a couple of questions now. Are you telling me that I could have a home that my mother left me, and someone can arbitrarily pay for the taxes that I don't even know that they're trying to do that, and the state doesn't give me notification that taxes are owed? Do I have to go look
So,
for that?
so ignorance is not a defense. You
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, that's just the
No, no, no.
way
I mean,
that the law puts it. That's just the way
yeah,
the
that
law
is
puts it.
true.
Mhm.
So there is a website you can go onto sorry, I will pull it up for you.
That's good. Because my next
It's the
question for you when you're looking that up is going to be, give us like about 3 or 4 steps of how what the things we need to do in case something like that happens, so the person is not caught off guard. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, they done took my mama's house from me. They paid $10,000 because I can guarantee you, if someone pays $10,000 or $5,000 taxes in your house and they own that house now, they're gonna make you pay double or triple to get it back. I mean, they're not just gonna
Mhm.
sell it. I'll
Look,
give it
I'm
to you for
raising my
I'll
hand.
give it to you for five. That's how much I pay. No, no, because they did this for
No,
money.
Okay, but I'm
of
raising my hand.
course.
As what if your name is on the deed? You still have to go through probate with everything.
Yeah, she said because it's a part
Oh,
of
no,
the
no, no, no.
state.
If you're no, no, no. If your name is on the deed, that's different.
Okay, that's different. Yeah,
That is
because
Okay.
different.
right, because
Yeah,
Okay.
then you don't you
because
be
then
then
you're a part
become
owner. Then
you're
you're an
part
owner.
owner, then you're a part of that estate.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it just depends on the type of ownership.
yeah.
There are different types of ownership. So if you're a joint tenant, you're a
Mhm.
100% owner. But if the
Mhm.
tenancy type is not listed, then it is tenants in common, which means that you only own a specific portion. So
Like the
that's the
siblings or
default.
something.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the default. If it's
So
not listed on the deed, then it's
mhm.
default to tenants in common. But if it's listed, then it's going to be joint tenancy, or for a married couple, it's tenancy by the entirety, which provides s- special protections for married couples.
Okay.
Wow.
So you're looking up that website. I'm just curious. I mean,
So
this is
it's the Cook County Clerk's office.
okay.
The Cook County Clerk's website, that's where you can look up your property and you can see your tax payments for
Mhm.
the past few years. So you can see if it's been paid or if it's been bought. So you can see that on that
Mhm.
website.
Wow.
Now, I mean, you never want to look at this as a negative thing. Like my parents about to die. Let me look at this. Is there something that we can be proactive with to make sure that we have everything in line just in case this happens? Like funeral plans. They say plan ahead of time. Is there somehow that we can? It's some things that we can do proactively to make sure that we don't have to worry about someone taking the house from under us.
So one of the good things that we like to do, we always prefer and tell our clients, we would rather you do estate planning than come back and do probate. So one of the things you do is you can pay to have them come to the office, whether it be our office or another attorney, because we're not the only game in town. We
Yeah.
always say, make sure to just find the one who works for you. Find the one that's a best fit for you. I know plenty of attorneys that are in this field that are in the south suburbs that all do this work and have a passion for it. So find the attorney that works for you that is a good fit for you. So absolutely, if you want to be proactive about it, take them to an attorney and get the work done. Get a
Yeah.
plan in place. Get it
Yeah.
done now. And if
Yeah.
they don't want to pay for it for them
You
so
got a
that
question, but
it's done.
she's gonna ask a question. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
please.
was so nice of you. I don't want to hear about no other attorneys. I'm going with you.
Right, Lou Marchi.
Okay.
And we want
I
Brittany.
We
appreciate
ain't, we ain't,
I
I
appreciate
mean,
that.
that's why
it
you on
might
this
be another
show.
40 years,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
hey, because we want you to continue to age
That's
out.
really nice. You said all of so many. Yeah, I don't want to hear that. We going with you.
Yeah, okay. But
I
this
appreciate that.
this other question is, what's the best way to add children on a deed? Young
So
children, or I mean, well, they grown children on a deed.
Can you do
not a
that?
good
Is the
idea.
question. It's
No.
You
not.
can.
Okay.
You absolutely can. It's not a great idea, but you absolutely can.
Oh, why do you say that?
So
Uh-oh.
everyone loves their family and everyone loves their kids and
Mm-hmm.
they want to think the best of them. However, you can do a transfer on death instrument. So in the event that something happens to you, you can ensure that the home transfers to that person who you wanted to transfer to. There are so many avenues to ensure that the property goes to who you want it to go to, right? Rather than having them on the deed now. Because in the event that you have them on the deed now and something happens during their lifetime where they have a monetary issue, where I've seen it multiple times happen where child support, that doesn't go away. They're going to come for your house because that's now an asset that that child of yours owns.
That's good.
And so your
Mm-hmm.
home is now a liability and an asset that is something that the state can come and collect on. So that it's not helpful. You
Yeah.
can
That's
absolutely leave your home to your
mm-hmm.
kid and
Mm-hmm.
ensure that they have access to it in multiple ways. There's the
Right.
Okay.
transfer on death instrument, there's the trust. You can will it to them. Of course, they'll have to go through probate if you just do the will, but there are multiple avenues that you can take. The transfer on death instrument would be a great one to ensure that it's on the record, it's recorded with the clerk's office, that in the chain of title for the home, it's there for everyone in the public to see. You want this home to go to this person
Mm-hmm.
upon your death. So it's there for everyone to see. They know. But yeah,
It's
it's
not.
not the best idea.
Yeah.
Yes, please
Okay.
go ahead.
Just like with a nursing home, they could do the same thing because they'll go after the house to pay that bill for your loved one that's in a nursing home, right?
Correct. So this is
Oh.
why it's best to do estate planning early because there's a
Mm-hmm.
look back period. So in the event that you do your estate planning just to avoid the nursing home getting their hands on your property, they know
Mm-hmm.
that's a strategy. And so they'll say, no, you did that just so you don't have any assets. We have a 5-year look back period where we know that in the last 5 years you had this property. So because you had this property in the last 5 years, if you put it in an irrevocable living trust where you still have control over it, they can still come for it. But if you
Yeah.
put it in an irrevocable living trust where you completely divest yourself of it and you trust beyond a shadow of a doubt somebody else to be in charge of it, where you can't be the trustee or the beneficiary, then that's okay. But you have to, beyond a shadow of a doubt, believe in that person that they're going to have your best interest at heart.
Yeah. At
So
first.
it's better to do it early on
Yeah.
so that it's
Mm-hmm.
well before you know that these problems are possibly going to be on the horizon.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good 10, 15 years before this is even going to be a thought, then there's no issue.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
was at first I was gonna be funny about it. Said I wouldn't want that kid on there because you can't trust that little rotten head
Right,
person,
right.
But
Mm-hmm.
how you educated us on that, I mean, that was very good. You know what? You wouldn't even think about that. That something
Of
Mm-mm.
like that
course.
could. I mean, I work in credit, so I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That if you do something like that, child support or certain things, they can come because your name is a part of that trust and take from that. And so at first it sounded like, oh,
Not the trust. Not the trust.
that's not the
Not the trust. If
trust.
it's on the deed,
If
right?
it's
If
on
it's
the
on the
deed, right?
deed,
The deed,
they can
Okay.
come
right?
for it.
But I mean, and if you have them on there, you did say deed. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have them on there, that can happen. First, you're thinking like, wow, that's kind of mean not putting the kids on there. But if you think of it,
But
the
these parents know
law,
their
It's
the
kids.
protecting
law,
them.
yeah, the law doesn't care. I mean, you're telling
Mm-hmm.
them what the
Mhm.
law says. So even though this sounds like it's a wonderful thing, this ain't like some Social Security thing, or I'm gonna get them a bank account. Or something. This is put it on the deed where somebody can come there and claim it, like you said, irrevocable and wreckable. You have to know all those things. And I'm sitting there like, wow, that makes a lot of sense because I would have never thought about that. You would think, yeah, I'm gonna put my child on here because I want to make sure they have the
Mm-hmm.
house. But as you said, you call it a transfer of something. What did you call it? A
Transfer on death instrument.
right, it's transfer on death
All these
instrument.
big words.
It's like, and
So we use an acronym. It's called the TODI. TODI.
uh
TODI. Transfer on death instrument.
I have
okay.
a question. What is STIRPES? Stirps?
Stirpies. For
Stirpies?
stirpies.
What is that?
So that's just a fancy Latin term for saying how you want people to take um, as beneficiaries. So you can do it either per capita or per stirpies. And
Okay,
so
which
it's as a grouping. So you
okay.
either want them to, as a grouping, you can say, I want when one person passes away, I want the entire group to split their share. Or you can say, when one person passes away, I want their share to go to their descendants. So that's the difference between per capita and per stirpies.
So, Brittany, this
Okay.
this thing can get kind of
Confusing.
not, yeah, confusing. I mean, but it can be kind of,
Slow
it
pace.
can be kind of. I don't want to. And the word is not challenging. It can cause fights when you
Uh-huh.
have someone,
Yes.
when you get the
Yes.
split like that. How would you handle that as a person who wants to make sure the estate is properly set up? Because I've seen many times where people's name are a part of it, and then they're angry because this person gets this, and how do you? I mean, is there any way that you can maybe resolve that where everybody's happy? Which I think is the answer is no, because no one is ever going to be happy. But what is the easy way to make sure that this thing is done appropriately for everyone involved?
And throw in a spouse too. If it's not just
Ooh,
children, a spouse, they
yeah.
probably gonna get a
Yeah,
half, and the
like
children get the half.
yeah, or the spouse gets 75% and the child gets 25, and the child is mad because he think he should have got half, and then they want to fight for
Mm-hmm.
their portion, but it's not. I mean,
Talk to us.
Of course. So the rules of descent and distribution give the spouse 50% and the children split the rest of the 50% if that's how it goes. So
mhm.
that's if you die without a will and you decide and the state just decides and breaks it down that way. So if you want to just follow that, you can. That's how it goes. I will say that our firm in particular, in the will, we do have a couple of sections to ensure that there's not a whole lot of fighting. So we do have some fail safes in our documents to protect our clients' wishes because our clients take the time to fill out an elaborate document. We do give you a very detailed worksheet if you decide to work with us. At the moment, it's 13 pages, but we're ever evolving. So it is growing, but it's because it's very detailed. And so we break down what do you want to happen with your books? What do you want to happen with your clothes? What do you want to happen with your shoes, your furs, your digital assets, your financial assets? What are your financial assets? Who do you want them to go to? Where do you want them to go? How do you want them to be spent? So we have a very in-depth, detailed worksheet that we ensure that our clients think about so that in the event that something happens to them, there is a very detailed roadmap for all of their beneficiaries. But within the will, there are a couple of provisions. One of them says, I have not omitted anybody. Everybody who is supposed to be a beneficiary is in this document. If you're not in this document, you weren't supposed to get anything. So sorry. There is another section that is that states that you cannot assign your interest because you don't own it yet. You don't own anything until I'm gone. So anything that I'm giving you out of the goodness of my heart, you don't have access yet. Again, so sorry. And we have a third one that says, in the event that you contest this will, it's as if you were written out.
Oh, wow.
I took the time to do this, and these are my wishes. So fight it if you want to, but these are my wishes.
Wow.
You know what? Brittany is making me think about all those Friday nights when we're watching. What's the shows we be watching?
Law
babe?
and Order and
No, that's Thursday night.
you talking about Dateline?
Dateline and
Yeah.
the kids who want their money, they wish the parents was
Yeah.
dead for they can inherit their money. I mean, you trying to you kill the parents
And
to get the money.
and to top it all off, we videotape our clients as they sign the documents, and we ensure at the top of the video we have you state your name. We also make sure that you say that you are of sound mind and memory and that these are your wishes, that no one forced you, coerced you, or encouraged you to do these documents. You're here of your own accord, and you wanted us to create these documents, and they are your wishes. So we didn't force you to do this. No one else forced you to do this. These are your wishes as you saw forth to put into writing for your property. So that is on video, and in the event that anyone ever contests your wishes, we release the video to the court.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
should they contest your wishes, they are written out. They don't even get where you left them.
Wow.
So
Hey, so-
that encourages people to not fight.
Not to fight, yeah. So let me ask you this: say that a person, say I'm on the will of my mom, and I've got my brothers and sisters, so there's like 4 or 5 of us, but somehow I pass away. What happens to that portion? Will that channel down to my child, or is it given to the other 4 remaining family members? How does that work? Because say you said I don't own anything yet, so I can say if I'm not here, it goes to my child because I don't own anything yet because I'm not the person hasn't passed. So what happens with that in that point?
So that depends on whether there was a will, and if there was a will, whether your parent wanted it to be per capita or per stirpes. If they
Okay.
wanted it to be amongst their kids only, then your portion would be split amongst your siblings.
Okay.
If they wanted it to go to your heirs, then it would be split amongst your heirs. If
So-
you don't have any heirs biologically, then it would revert back to your siblings.
Okay. So again, explain that capital and Stirpes. What's Stirpes again?
STIRPE.
Stirpes. Okay.
Stirpes. Yeah, so per capita and per stirpes. So it's one of them is amongst the entire class of individuals,
Mhm.
and one of them is the down lineage. So
Okay.
that is how that works.
Wow. We see this young lady all the time because she's also a person that does play reviews with us. So we want to mention that out there too. She's a beautiful person that we've called almost like our daughter. She's a family member to us now.
We have
But
smart
this
kids.
is the first time that I've sat down here and talked to her about this. And I mean, you have really blessed me because there's so much that we don't know. And people need to be educated about because, you can always have somebody that'll scare you to death and tell you something and take something away from you. But, the Bible said the people perish because of the lack of knowledge. And you sharing this with us now has just been a blessing.
I have a couple more questions.
You got
real
about
quick.
one more question,
course.
babe, 'cause we got to have you back on here. I'm sure.
Let me
'cause
make sure I
this
have the right
this is
one.
I'm liking this because I'm hopefully the last thing I want you to do after she asks her question, tell us about even any seminars that you're giving or seminars that people can go to learn about this, so we can share that with people. So, what's your question, babe?
Okay, for sure.
My question is something, it was the word we tossed around earlier, but what does the beneficiary designation do? What does that do? Am I
So,
saying that
truthfully,
correctly?
yeah, so the
Okay.
beneficiary designation just states that this is the person that you want to have the benefit of your assets. That's all.
Does
And
that,
it gives them the essentially it shows that they are the ones that depending on if you have a trust, that the trustee, or if you have a will, that the executor or the administrator of the will, sh- it makes sure that they are the ones that those individuals have to protect, that the assets are protected for those individuals.
so they act like the power of attorney, or that's two different
No,
things?
no, the
Okay.
beneficiary simply gets the benefit of the assets. They
Okay.
don't have any other responsibility but to get to the assets unless they're the same individual who is designated as the trustee or the executor or the administrator. So those individuals, trustee, executor, administrator, those are the ones that have active roles. Power of
Okay.
attorney, they have active roles. They have to do stuff. Beneficiary, they
Sit
just
back and
get.
wait, huh?
Yeah, they just get.
So let me ask you this. I mean, I said I wasn't gonna. I didn't want to do this, and I apologize because we got to go on with the show. So the executor, can the executor go against the estate and not provide to the people that it's supposed to be, or hold off on providing to them? Do they have the power to do that?
They do, but then the beneficiary can have them removed.
Okay.
They'd have to take them to court and have them removed.
So the beneficiary. So that means like if Brenda's the beneficiary and I'm the executor and I don't give her what she wants, she can go to court to have
Not
me
what she
removed.
wants, what she's entitled to.
Entitled to. Okay.
There you
Uh,
go. That it's a difference.
yeah. I
If
mean,
she's just sitting there pounding her fist saying, I want this, but she's not entitled to it legally, that's fine.
yeah.
But if she's entitled to it and you're saying, nah, I'm not doing that, I want this, then you're in
Oh,
breach of your role.
Okay,
And if you're in breach of your role, then she could take you to court.
because here in this house, she always tell me what she wants, and she thinks she's entitled to it. So, so that's totally different. It's like, we that executor or nothing. She tells me what she wants, and she thinks she's entitled to it. And
oh,
I've
whatever.
spoiled her enough for 30 years that she pretty much gets it. But
I want it now.
She has that
As
role
you
of
should.
she has that role of entitlement now that she thinks you ain't gonna do this. Like, wait a minute.
Well, I'm 30 years knee deep into this
But,
relationship.
that's marriage counseling we gotta work on. But I'm telling you, tell us about maybe some seminars or things that people can go to learn about this. Are you providing anything with your law firm or another law firm so we can educate people about this?
And where can they find
For
her
sure.
law firm?
For sure. So the Lumarti Law Group, and that is an acronym. So it's the law offices of Mario A. Reed, the Education Esquire. So that is what our firm is called.
Mhm.
You can find us on Facebook. I will say Attorney Reed does a ton of free webinars as well as in-person seminars. So I will say follow our Facebook page. That is the best way to keep up with all of the happenings and the events that are going on with our firm. So the law offices of Mario A. Reed, the Education Esquire, that is the best place. Follow us on Facebook. That is the best place to keep up with all of the online events as well as the in-person events. And we are physically located in South Holland in the plaza with the Aurelio's Pizza.
Oh wow, you
Oh,
get
wow.
wow. Many
Used to
times
be
you've been
over
over there,
there.
so
Okay.
we can get peace and some law.
Right. We over there.
Absolutely.
Isn't that where
Absolutely.
Abbott's said to Abbott's
Abbott's
printing?
Printing is
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, we're right in the same plaza as Abbott's.
Oh,
We
wow.
use
They
Abbott's
that
all the time.
close.
They're fabulous.
Seminars, anything
Fabulous.
coming
So
up
yeah.
you can educate people? Anything?
So
We got
I
anything
don't
coming
really
up?
have anything at the
Okay.
moment, but no. But I will say that Attorney Reed does do a lot of Sunday seminars. So,
Okay. So
yeah,
I mean, if a church wanted him to come there to do a seminar, he's great with doing that. Do you do this as
absolutely.
well? Do you
Not
join?
often. That is
Okay.
not often. That is not something that I am the most efficient with, but that is his passion.
Yeah,
And so,
that's his
yeah,
baby.
Like estate
yeah, that
planning
is,
is her
that is,
passion.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, even hey, estate planning people. I will tell you this,
Wow.
and I know you said this. African Americans are not doing enough to make sure they plan appropriately for situations like this. And it's nice to know that there's avenues out there to educate them. We have to grab a hold to those educational tools so we can prepare ourselves and our families for when situations like this happen. You're well equipped to understand what needs to happen. And I think that it's important that you come on here and share that. I definitely want to make sure you come back on again because we want to educate
absolutely.
people about that to let them know, hey, don't just go out there and just listen to anybody.
Yeah.
Know what you need to know. That's why the people perish because of lack of knowledge. And we thank you for sharing the knowledge. This is our baby girl. We love her. We're gonna be nice. We're gonna sophisticated today.
Yeah, because we have a smart child.
But we really appreciate you coming on here. Tell Mama we said hello.
Yes, tell
Uh,
You
Carolyn.
know, I
Hey.
will.
Yeah,
You know,
and
I will. I love you guys too.
yeah,
We
we'll
love
be
you
seeing you soon.
too.
Okay.
Okay, see you at the next
Absolutely.
play.
All right.
See you
Thank
at the next
All right.
you.
play. Love you
Okay.
guys. Thank
Love you
Love
too.
you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right. I'm telling you, as African Americans, we need to get more educated on state of trust, what am I trying to say?
Estate planning.
Estate planning, trust, wills, deeds,
All
because
of it.
so many things will happen where we're trying to figure out everything at the end, and we don't have anything in order. And the Bible tells us we need to do things decently in order, and it goes for everything, life and death. Be proactive. You have places like this that are teaching you, giving free seminars, and like I don't feel like being bothered with that. Don't wait until the last moment when somebody else can just sell you anything or do anything.
And take your house
Right.
from right. Oh,
Be
Lord.
prepared. Know the steps. I mean, you would hate that your mama would pass away and all of a sudden they didn't pay the back taxes on there. You didn't even know about the back taxes because you didn't go to any seminars. You decided to look at one of those reality TV shows instead.
And you
now
didn't
all
call
of a
the
sudden,
Cook County clerk
right?
to find out.
And you can call Cook County, and now you can't even get the house because somebody bought it for $5,000 on back taxes, and now you got to leave, and this is your mama's house.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we're not planning. The people perish because of the lack of knowledge. Please, we're gonna make sure we have Brittany come back on here and share with us again because it is very important. I want to thank Brenda, Evangelist Brenda, for bringing on that thing. She's got some powerful women coming up on the show as well, so we appreciate that. Hey, we got to play some music before we go on. We're gonna go right now to play Smokey Norval, I Need You Now. So listen up to that, some commercials, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody. We got a couple more things we want to share here on stories that we have, but please make sure that you learn how to plan your estate planning. Have a will, have a trust, have all that information in order because you never know when you're going to need it. Because you're never really going to know. But it's rather be proactive than reactive. What you got?
This next story: husband murders wife at hospital because he said he couldn't take care of her or afford her medical bills.
Didn't have any estate planning.
I mean, this is just crazy. This man is facing second-degree murder charge, babe, after he allegedly killed his wife at Center Point Hospital in Independence, Missouri, because he could not afford to take care of her. She was there trying to get a new port for her dialysis, whereas he just got fed up and choked her out. And then when the family members came, because they had to do a cold blue, when the nurses and the doctors came in, saying she has suspicious bruises on her neck and arm, they was like, get the husband back out here. Husband came back out there, boo? told the son, yeah, I did it. I killed her because I couldn't take care of her no more. I'm like, wow, you're just going to kill the boy's mama. So, what you want to chime in on that?
You know, we see this all the time. I mean, like I said, we like watching Dateline, 60 Minutes, 2020. Usually 2020, 60 Minutes. You know, they have all kinds of shows
Dateline.
like this now. And I always say to the person, you know, if you don't want to, if you can't afford to, just leave, divorce, walk away. You know, hey, you know, just leave and don't let nobody know you know where you at. I'd rather for them to think negative. I'd rather me to think negative about you than you to kill me. So if you just need to leave, then leave. You can't help me. I mean, but you're gonna kill her because you can't provide for her. Financially, it was too difficult for you to do that. And so you think the best thing for her is for you to kill her. I'm like, just leave. I never understand that. Just leave. You know, it shouldn't be, you know, you have to do that. And you just need to leave. I mean, now he's going to jail.
She did.
She's dead. The boy don't have any family members. He got to live with somebody else. I don't know how old he is, but it's just ridiculous. The thought process that people have it's amazing. We just talk about the words we speak, the things that you do. How do you sit there and decide to kill someone? And your thing is, well, I couldn't take care of her. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say this. Well, if there's going to be somebody that's going to die, why does it got to be her? Can you pick the other end?
Well, you got to hear this paragraph here.
Okay.
Wiggs, which was his name, allegedly said he had previously tried to kill his wife on 2 other occasions. The first time he started, but he couldn't bring himself to carry through with the killing, detective said. His wife woke up and told him not to do that again. The second time he didn't do it because his wife was connected to several monitors. I mean, the third time, I hate to say it was the charm for him, but when she woke up and said, don't do that again, that scares me to hear her to say that.
Well, I think, you know, again, makes it seem like he may have done it even more than that. And unfortunately, maybe the woman didn't have the capability of leaving him, because if you saw he did that once before, then you need to be doing everything you can to get away from him. But the simple fact is this: it's the selfishness that we have in this world, where we're going to get rid of somebody because we can't take care of it. Like I'm gonna kill the baby that she's gonna have because I don't want to pay child support. I'm gonna kill her because I don't want to pay child support. I'm gonna kill her because I don't want to be in this relationship anymore.
That's
I mean, it's so selfish. If you don't want to do something, I mean, hey, you can run away and don't pay child support and they can't find you. You got all kind of places to pay you under the table. You ain't gonna get that much money. But I mean, but you know, I love the old thing Beretta. He says, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. We're selfish. I wanted to have sex with her, but I didn't want the baby. So now I'm gonna get rid of her and the baby. I wanted to be with my wife, but I can't afford to keep on paying all this money out for her. I don't have anything else for myself. So what I'm going to do is get rid of her. That's just so selfish. We got about 30 seconds. What you got to say left on that, babe?
It's sad that you killed her because you felt as though you didn't have no other option. That's sad and sorrowful. Like you said, you could have ousted yourself, but no.
Yeah, and it is sad what people do. So we are about to get ready to get back on to Soar Radio. For those on yours, Facebook and YouTube, here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Let's Stay Together talk show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, paper shuffler, Brenda McCain over here. We have just had a wonderful conversation with Brittany, our baby girl there. I'm not going to say her name. I'm just going to call her BC. Brittany was sharing with us about estate planning with wills and deeds, and it was very beneficial. I mean, to sit there and say, it's not a good idea to put your children on the deed. First sounded so selfish, like, why not? But when you think about it legally, what that means to people who could take money from that estate because that child is on there. And even if you tried to take them off, she said, if they knew that that person was on there within that 5-year period, they could put them back on there if you didn't sign an irrevocable. And I'm going to say some of it. I'm not going to try to say everything because I might get something wrong. But the thing about it is she said it would rather do a transfer to transfer them on there afterwards instead of putting them on now. So that means if I have children on my estate, I got 5 kids. Don't put them on there now. Just make sure that the will has them listed, and then from there they can be, a part of the estate from that, and they're not on the deed where someone can legally come against the estate and take money from the estate before it's even issued out to other people. So having that kind of information is so important because we always want to sit there and take care of our children. So we think adding them is the right thing to do, but in this case, it's not. And so it's very informative to know about this. We'll share some information more about how you can get in contact with Brittany. I'll have Brenda contact her to get some information, and we'll put it on our website a little later. Hey, babe, I think we're going to be talking about making marriage work, or why did I get married? Making marriage work is what we started off with. Why did I get married is what we're doing now. So what's going on with why did I get married?
Our topic is I want to be an example.
Yeah. I didn't even share this with, Evangelist over there, Evangelist Brenda, EB over there, Evangelist Brenda. But I was very intrigued Sunday when our pastor called people up to the church for married ministry. And I saw so many married people coming up there to receive a prayer, a blessing. There was so many people at this church. And I, at the church I used to go to, me and Brenda was a part of marriage ministry. And it got me excited again about being an example or being in a marriage ministry, a head of a marriage ministry. And I really said, I'm like, man, this is great. Look at all these people that are coming. I mean, it had to be about more than 50 some odd couples, probably close to 100.
Oh my God, yeah, it was
And
over 100.
it was like amazing to see this exodus of married people coming to the front of the church, and it just excited me. Like, wow, this could be great, place to get the marriage ministry going. And so it made me think about being an example, what it means to be an example, because you can want to be in charge of something, but are you living your life as an example? Can people see you as an example that they want to follow? Because you could teach about marriage all you want to. I mean, you've had preachers all the time talk about subjects that they're not following themselves. And so you have to be that example. And so I got excited about that. I mean, I still said to myself that, I don't feel like being bothered with church people, because when you inside the church, when you inside the ministry there, it can be a whole lot of problems, And I'm like, do I really want to go through this again? I don't want to be fighting with people, this person, why am I not involved in this? Why is he this? I didn't want to go through all that. But I really got excited when I saw all of those married people come up, and it really intrigued me about doing marriage ministry. But and we actually was working on a book called Making Marriage Work that I didn't set aside for about several years. But it made me think about being an example again, baby. And I think the thing about being an example in a marriage is being able to show who you are at all stages of your life. Meaning you're the same indoors and outdoors. Because there's a lot of people in the church, I'm blessed and highly favored. But then they're at home and they're on Dateline next because they didn't, the pastor didn't killed his wife because he didn't want to take
and
it.
she putting a shoe up on the stand.
I mean, it's we just saw this thing on the thing. She killed the pastor because of that, but he wanted her to dress someone. I mean, it was just the inside vernacular of how they lived their life was totally different than the
Than what the people
outside.
say.
And living an example, babe, and I'm gonna let you talk because we're just bouncing this off with each other. Living an example means that people should see you the same way in church and out of church. Because I do remember one time we was at a store here, and this guy rode by and he says, "You actually do open the door for your wife.
And hold her hand.
You actually do hold her hand." Because I was teaching about that, holding your hand, open the door. And Brenda, one time, we was with her sister, and before Brenda walked to the door, Brenda walked to the side, and her sister said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Rick's gonna open the door." And she's like, "Huh?" And I came and opened the door, and she like, "Wow, I thought you wanted me to open the door. I wasn't gonna." It's like you're living that example, and so it excited me again to talk about trying to live as an example. And so share some things about you, about trying to live as an example of a good Christian marriage so other people can see that and want to follow the example that you show.
I do want to go back, if I may, to Sunday. That was beautiful. Our pastor called all married couples to the altar when he had said, "Get your belongings, your coat, your purses, everything," because we was going to be dismissed from the service after that. And I thought, in my mind, that it was just going to be a few couples that would come up there. It had to be nearly 100 that could have made their own little mini church that came. And it's like, you don't see too many couples in church. You always see more 80% women than men in church. But that particular day, it was like a revelation just to see that. And it was so beautiful. And on our way to the altar, a lady that we really don't know, she seen us and said, "You guys are my favorite couple." And for a minute, baby, I was like, how does she know us? But people watch you.
Yeah.
They totally watch you. And our pastor used us as an example a couple of months ago at the altar to do something about open doors and to trust God with tithing and everything. And they seen the raw Brenda and Rick, because we don't put on pretense. What you see out is what you see in, even at the theater and everything. But to answer your question with that, to be an example of a wife in a marriage and a good marriage, it's not, we do know the Bible says submit to your husband and everything. It's not just about that. It's showing love and respect to one another wherever you at. Like, it could be things, I know last week we talked about, I love her, but she drives me crazy, or he drives me crazy. We know we drive each other crazy, but we respect each other. And that respect goes outside of our household, because there's so many people that don't know us. I love it. And we don't do it for the looks and the stares. Just trust, believe we do it because we still in love with each other and respect each other. But I do love it with, I'm going to shout her name out, when Hetty Weiss, is that how you pronounce
Weiss,
it?
yeah.
Years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, when she took notice of us, and she said, "You guys are just the sweetest, cutest couple. You do things for each other. It's like Rick had my back while I'm out. I have his back. It's a team." And that's what I want couples to see out there, or people even dating engaged. It's all about being a team. You got to put the work in with one another. Yeah, there's time, Rick, like, I don't really be bothered with this girl as I with him. But we know we're not just in this relationship just for us. We in this relationship for those who want to be married and the Lord and do the right thing, that they could see. It's a beautiful thing to see. And that's what Sunday meant to me. It was just beautiful to see that, because I have not seen that in years.
Yeah. I mean, and I really got excited about that, and it made me, think about, what can I change in my the things that I do to be a part of that. But then again, I think about, do I really want to go through this church stuff anymore? I mean, right now, even with me getting excited about it, I can't say that God has moved me in that direction, because I'm still waiting for him to move me. But that excitement lets me know that there's something there. And I used to always, when we taught at the other church, I'll mention it, Salem Baptist Church here, I would say, somebody in the marriage has to be willing to down the cross so the marriage can survive. Because when you go through so many trials and tribulations in your marriage, the thing about it is that the longer you get in a marriage, people's, they get tired. They don't want to deal with this. The relationship kind of, dies out. They're there for the kids and stuff like that. But for us, the love is still there because we want to love each other. We want to be the example of God. We want to be able to do that. And there are some times in our marriage that one or the other has to die on the cross, meaning I've got to look beyond just me. I got to look beyond she has to look beyond just herself. I got to look beyond just me and recognize that God is still the head of that marriage. He's in there too. And so if he died on the cross for our sins, are you willing to die on the cross to make sure that your relationship survives? Because he died on the cross for our sins and we can have salvation. There's some things that can be sinful in your relationship that you have to die on the cross for so salvation can come back, so forgiveness can come back. I'm not saying you're having an affair or something. You're arguing with each other. You're fighting against each other. You're talking down. You're mentally or physically abusing each other. Those are sinful things that can happen into a relationship that you have to say, hey, I'm going to be on the cross for this. I'm going to die. I'm going to let self die. I'm going to not be selfish and selflessness. I'm going to hear that individual speak what she's saying. I'm going to hear what he's saying. I'm going to listen to it and see what I can do to make the relationship work for both of us, because now I'm listening to what he has to say or she has to say to make sure that the relationship survives. And as long as you know that Christ is in there and God is telling us, hey, if you love and look for nothing in return, I say this again, give 100% and look for nothing. The other person gives 100% and look for nothing. Then you both are going to be happy because you're not looking for some reciprocation. I don't want to love her because she gave me something. Because if she doesn't give me what I want, then my love decreases. I'm loving her because God told me to love my wife as he loves the church. I'm loving him because God told me to love him, And so that's how I'm loving them. And that love continues to grow because God is the head of it. And so he teaches me every day the things that I should do. Now, of course, we're going to make mistakes. I mean, we've had some times of our life where we've had arguments before and we didn't talk to each other for about a week. It could be 2 weeks. And you would think the older we got in our relationship, it would even be longer. But the longer, because we had God in our relationship, we would have arguments and you're like, okay, we can't let this go that way. And I remember one story, and I'm going to let you talk. Me and Brittany was mad at each other, and she used to work downtown at the bank. And one day I was picking up, and she wasn't talking to me, I wasn't talking to her. And she walked out of that bank, and she looking fine. She looking so good. I saw her coming, down this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this girl looks so fine. And she walked to my car, and she had this like yellow pantsuit, like a top and pants, blazing pants, and had these brown snake-like boots. I don't know if you remember that. They're like and she was looking so fine. And I'm like, hey, I can't be mad no more. So I'm trying to talk to this little blankety blank, and she looking at me like, I don't know what he trying to do.
I knew what he was trying to do.
I'm like, okay, I'm ready to end this. And she like, well, that ain't gonna happen like that. So I think another day or so, she finally came to the thing. But those are the fun things you could look at when you were mad at each other when you were young. That you don't, it's like, hey, I'm not finna get into that. It's just
we
too
don't
many.
even do that no more.
There's too much little issues. So I mean, because you have God in your life, you go a little, you don't let things, murmur. The Bible says, don't go to sleep on your anger. We don't allow things like that anymore. We've gone to sleep mad, but you wake up the next day and you get over it.
Wake up, hey babe, what you want for breakfast?
And you get over certain things like that. So, being an example is basically allowing people to see you as you are, and you following Christ. It doesn't mean they're not going to see some, bad things. We shared when we did a marriage ministry. We shared about the trials and tribulations we went through, the heartaches. Telling some, each other that the first 2 years we were looking for the first divorce lawyer we could find because she was getting on my nerves and I was getting on hers. We share that. We openly share that to let people know that you're going to have some problems. But that's when the Bible says no weapon forms against you shall prosper. It's you. You got to make sure you don't form against yourself. And so just living that example of showing people the flaws and the good times. But because Christ is there, he will heal the flaws and he will increase the good times. And you just trust and believe in him that he's going to make sure you do that. I would pray all the time, God, allow me to love my wife more today than I did yesterday. And just continue to have that thought process. And I prayed, I said, God, give me a wife that was going to love me for me. And I will say that through all the trials and tribulations, Brenda has loved me for me. And I've given her a reason to love because of how I treat her. I treat her like a queen, spoil her to death, and try to do the right things for her because she was the gift that God gave me. And so living that kind of example life where people can say, I want my relationship to be like this. And we appreciate that. No, you don't, but we appreciate that. You can see the example of how we survived in a relationship, but then survive in your own.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do love the fact of being an example. Is not just like we said, the accolades that other people give you, but it's that good feeling that you have that you're striving in your relationship, in your marriage. It's like we are nothing like we were 30 years ago. This is our 30th year anniversary.
Yeah.
And I'm just touching upon, that's August the 26th, 30 years. I'm touching upon, like he was saying, when we used to argue, 2 weeks was nothing. He would be downstairs, I'd be upstairs, but we were still respectful that we knew he had to, we rode in downtown to work together. Mm-hmm. We respected each other that way. But when we came home, it's like, we back to not talking. Don't say nothing to me. It's like, that's not the way you need to be in your relationship. I never want to go back to that. Like I said, Rick and I can have a disagreement. Sometimes we laugh at all. Sometimes it lasts an hour. Sometimes it lasts 10 minutes. It's like he's entitled to his opinion. I'm entitled to mine. No one's controlling one another. We're just making marriage work.
Now, but basically what you say is he's entitled to his opinion and mine's is right. But I'll let him get over it.
I can't say that.
I'll let him get over it. Mine's is right.
I'm entitled to mine, and we're going to work it out.
Mine's is right, and he'll figure it out eventually. So until he figures it out, we just gonna keep going that way. But it's just, you have humor in your relationship. And, sometimes I always laugh because people tell me, don't be treating my sister like that. I'm like, are you all crazy? You know how spoiled this little chick is over here? I'm like, treating her how? These are jokes on this show, okay? These are jokes on this show. We don't. If she keep ruffling this paper though, she gonna drive me nuts. Because I don't know why she staples them. All you gotta do is put one there, and then when that one's done, do something else.
Word on this thing, so I don't have to be bothered.
What thing?
On this.
Well then you're gonna have to learn how to do this. Speaking of that, we're gonna go on. So we just want to say that wanting to be an example just means that you're allowed to live your life in front of people in the open, as well as you do at home, and just show them the examples. Share the good, share the bad. Let them see, how a marriage can flourish because they trust in the Lord, with all their heart. Lean not to their own understanding, but acknowledge Him in all thy ways, and He will direct your paths. We live that credo in our relationship to allow God to be the head. And then we follow God through the trials and tribulations. He hasn't failed us yet, and He never will. So we're gonna let this one song. I'm gonna let this song play because I heard the song and I liked it because it goes with being an example. It's a song that goes from, I think it says Uncle Erg. I've never heard this person before. And the Revival Today worship. It's called Big God, Big Things. If you're trying to be an example for someone else to see, you've got to trust that there's a big God and he can do big things. Listen up to this song for those on Soar Radio, and we'll be right back. I think we're only playing this song, Kenny. I'm not sure. But yeah, just play that song and we'll be right back. All right, you got another story for us?
I do. This story is about a South Carolina pastor's wife made eerie posts about terrible things happening before her sudden death. Her name is Micah Miller. Her family is demanding answer because her pastor husband said she had mental issues and she committed suicide. Family is not believing that, and the therapist know all and everything that she was going through because she was about to leave her husband, get a divorce, and leave the church. But now all of a sudden she committed suicide. But on April the 9th, she posted a post, I believe, on Facebook stating all the terrible things that's happening to her. And then all of a sudden on April 27th, her body was found with a fatal gunshot, babe, to the head. And the pastor said some strange stuff to the congregation that my wife died by suicide. This was after the South Carolina pastor had requested that no one discuss her death at the church. Now, baby, this is stuff just not adding up with this one. But because he knew she was trying to leave him, all of a sudden, oh, she's going to kill him? And I'm like, I mean, he's going to kill her, or he's saying that she committed suicide? You could tell if someone committed suicide or not, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, she gives some information about the possibility that he might hurt her. And then all of a sudden he says she committed suicide. I mean, I think the thing that troubles me about this is, again, that we're talking about a pastor and his wife, first lady of the church, killing his wife. I mean, we was looking on Dateline where the first lady of the church killed the pastor. I mean, it's sad to me because we're, as spiritual people who believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior and live our life according to his will, we're following the sinful pattern of the world. And we need to be the examples, but we can't be examples by doing things at the world. Now, again, this is a small, example of what's happening, but it always brings to light, the light is even brighter on when Christians do it than non-Christians do it. Just the same thing as a black person doing something compared to a white person. Oh, it's just that white person doing it. A black person do it. Every black person is responsible for it. And so you can't say that, but we do need to be better examples of Christianity and following the word of God. And I'm just a little bit discouraged about this pastor that is married to his wife that God provided for him. He would make the decision that he's going to kill her. And we don't know yet, but it does seem like that. And then make it seem as though she killed herself, which makes it even look worse for her, and make him look like he's a victim. We should have sympathy for him. And if it comes out, we find out that he's the one that actually killed her. I'm sure we'll see it on Dateline. Sure, it's sad because it hurts Christianity. You're a pastor. You're supposed to be the example of righteousness. If there's something going wrong in your relationship, just say, hey, we're not together with each other anymore. We things didn't work out. This is not my intention, but she didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here. We're going our separate ways, but I'm still going to be, doing the Lord's will. That's what you do. You don't sit there and kill the person and then say, oh, she committed suicide. I don't want nobody to talk about it. So it just looks bad for the church as a whole.
Yeah. That was that story. But do we have enough time for that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long that song is, but I did see something on here that was talking about Tyler Perry and Devon Franklin to produce faith-based films for Netflix.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Mm-hmm. Okay. We're gonna do something about you in this papers. I don't know why you got to put everything together, but what do you have over here?
Tyler Perry's new Bible-based Netflix films make us a little nervous. That's what they're saying. The Medea filmmaker and Devon Franklin will produce faith-based movies for the streaming service. Tyler already have some movies out there, which they said Mia Culpa was horrible. I didn't think it was horrible.
No, I didn't either.
But it's like I don't get it. But
It's not faith based, but yeah.
no, but he wants some faith-based movies out there, which are a lot of his movies he make anyway. He always ties it in, even though Medea jokes about the
Yeah.
Bible. He brings the Bible in there and the teachings of it. But they're saying that they don't have enough faith in him, not Devon, but they don't have enough faith in him that he could pull this off. And I do, because
They don't have enough faith in Tyler Perry. Okay.
that he could pull this off. And one of the movies they're talking about is coming as R&B is a modern day retelling of the story of Ruth and Boaz, one of the most iconic love stories in the Bible. I would love to see that. Set in Tennessee, R&B tells the story of a young woman who escapes the Atlanta music scene to care for an elderly widowed woman who becomes like her mother.
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting. I think Tyler Perry can definitely pull it off. I just think that sometimes people are probably saying, will it be so different than what biblical it is? Like that the other thing we were talking about with the what you call us. So, all right, everybody, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. We got to throw some things in here real quick because we got about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to let Shuffler over here shuffle her papers. I mean, Kenny, we got to work on this with her. I got to get her fixed with this. Shuffling these papers all the time. It's almost like shackles on my feet, shuffling my papers.
While we talking about that, we wasting time. Let's go to Let's Play.
Ain't there something? She gonna just cut me off.
Because you told me we're going to hurry up and do this. We had a discussion.
Hey,
here.
I'm always on time. So
Let's Play.
did she just cut me off again, people?
Beautiful. The
She sure
Carole
did.
King
You see
musical
that, don't
at Paramount Theater. We gave it 4 stars. This will be playing until June 16th. I loved it. Rick loved it. This is our 3rd time seeing it, right, babe?
Well, I'm so thankful that you're speaking for Rick since you're cutting him off
And you
anyway.
gave it 4
And you're
stars.
not being beautiful yourself by cutting me off. But yes, I did really enjoy Beautiful. The play Beautiful, the Carole King story is one of my favorite all-time plays. We've been doing plays for like 10 years now under the name of Let's Play Theatrical Review. And I loved seeing this play, and I loved the original because it was the first time I saw it. This play was excellent. I really enjoyed it. I did think that one of the guys in the play was a little bit too old for, playing a 20-something-year-old, but he did a good job with it. And the mics were cutting off a little bit, and it sounded a little hollow. They did fix that in the second act because it was hard to hear the singing on there. But all in all, it is an excellent play to go out there. If you're anywhere around the Aurora area, you'll definitely want to go see Beautiful out there in the Aurora Theater, Paramount Theater, I should
So
say.
we did catch a nice car show out there, too.
Yeah, we did. They had a car show out there. It was really nice. This man had I think it was a Ford something. It was beautiful. And he only wanted $85,000 for it. I'm like, man, if I had some money, I'd have bought that thing from him because it was sharp.
I got to post those pictures or send them to you with some nice cars out
Yeah, it
there.
was nice. What you got next?
LSTT relationship letter.
Relationship letter. Sorry, we gotta get this one in real quick. Relationship person.
Dear LSTT, it's prom season and everything is out there to be seen. I saw in the news that a young lady was kicked out of prom due to her provocative dress or lack of. The school sent the rules and regs home to the parents for the 2024 event, and someone didn't understand the assignment. They say the young lady was heartbroken. LSTT, do you think this was fair coming from the school? Sincerely, I thought the rules were meant to be broken.
So what rules did she break again? I'm sorry. She
A
the dress code.
provocative clothing
Okay,
dress
yeah.
code.
She thought the rules were meant to be broken. Did she think the school was being too harsh? Is that what the question is?
This is a lady just seen this on the news about the girl. She asking us, do you think this was fair coming from the school?
Yes, because it's the school's rules, schools and regulations. I mean, and have you seen some of these prom dresses, these outfits that these kids are wearing now? Oh my God, they put you to shame. You know, I don't know if they're going to prom or they're going to one of the strip clubs. What the outfits that they be having on is it's crazy. And so there's some certain thing called decorum that you should be able to follow. And the school is saying there's certain outfits or clothing that is not appropriate for something that's going to be a school event. Now, if you go on something afterwards and you want to put on your little inappropriate outfit that the school does feel is inappropriate to them, it may not be inappropriate to you. Your mom may think that's she like it. I mean, that's fine. But you're doing a school event, and so if the school said that these are the guidelines that you should follow, at that point, if you knew this, you should have thought about it, before and discuss it with the school and see if you can get it changed, which probably is not going to happen. But no, the schools are not wrong. You're wrong for trying to change their policy and procedures of the decorum that they want on the outfits for wearing for a school event. And if you're not able to go, then the only person you can blame is yourself.
Yes, I totally agree. Sincerely, I thought the rules were meant to be broken. Rick answered it, said the school is, they write the rules and regs, sent the paperwork home. It was up to the parent to adhere to it to help assist their child in appropriate clothing for prom. And if they chose not to do that, sorry that the child was heartbroken. I'm not siding with that because we have seen some very risky outfits for seniors. You would think they in their 30s going to the club. Yeah. But okay. Thank you for writing.
And let me just say this real quick. Even if the parent doesn't know, see, the child didn't let her know. You know if that outfit is appropriate or not. You can say to yourself, is the school letting you wear this? You ain't wearing this. I don't care if the school. There's a decorum in this household. You remember those old days where they say, "Don't you can't embarrass the name."
That's when the name meant something.
At some point, at least Daddy with the daughter, Daddy gonna say something, and Mama would say to her son, like, you looking like some little thug here. You ain't you can't be going up. You know that it's not right. So yeah, come on. You know based on what they're trying to wear, it wasn't right. So don't try to blame the school. That is their policies and procedures of what they want for a school event. That day, you wear what you have to wear, and then afterwards, if you're going outside the school event, then you could put on your little hoochie mama.
Yeah, okay. And those are our our views.
Yeah,
okay.
Views. Yeah.
Club 50. If you have not took the chance to sit and read some of these great interviews that Golden Diva interviews that we did in Devos, it's not too late. You could go to theclub50.com. Matter of fact, a young lady that was on our show today is our guest, Brittany Shutani. She was one of my interviewers back in November. So take the time and read it, and you too can be someone I interview. Let me know if you got something that you want to be shouted out on. We can make that happen. Ife Designs. It is prom season. We trying to keep it elegant and classy this year. Prom season and graduation season. If you have needs that you want for these two events, this is the time to contact me while we rolling out banners, invitations, everything you need, posters to get it done. You could call me if you have my number and text me. If you're on Facebook, you could direct message me or you could email me at ifedesigns@gmail.com.
And let me just say something because Brenda never brings this up. Send a clear picture. Send a good picture. Don't try to send something that that looks bad and think she's gonna make magic out of it.
Miracles.
That picture from 1970, it's not gonna work because the pixels is gonna send a good picture, because if you send a bad picture, it's gonna eventually be distorted. So I mean, we get a lot of times where people are sending that and they just want to send any kind of picture. You're the one that's paying for this. You want good quality. You have to start off good. You can't send something that's faded out and something like that. And she should be able to do. No. The picture. There's only so many things you can do with a picture, and when you try to enlarge it and those pixels, it just gets distorted. So don't get mad at the individual. Just send a good picture. Take the time. Take little Roy or Chuck or Missy, whatever her name is, and just put her next to something. Take a picture of her and then send it over. Don't send that picture outside in the yard somewhere that you can't even see half of the person.
Yeah, we deal with
You
a
know,
lot
so
of that.
please. I mean, I'm sounding like I'm a terrible person, but you're paying for it.
And we want the best
Yeah.
quality because I represent you and you represent me. The trick to this is look at the phone because you're sending your pictures 9 times out of 10 over the phone. Enlarge the picture. If you see grainy things on the
The
picture,
pixels are grainy. It's gonna
the
look that way.
resolution look
Yep.
bad. Just imagine this in an 8x8 banner.
Right. Just imagine it's stretched. It's gonna look just as bad.
And I don't care how many apps, because I could use different apps to clear it up. It doesn't clear it up like
Yeah, I
that.
mean, there's so much you can do with a bad picture. You know, but that's just me. I told him many times, don't even accept the work because it's gonna make you look bad by doing this. But just send a good picture. I mean, she does excellent work with this Ife design stuff. I mean, it's just beautiful. And I'm not saying that because she's my wife. It's just some excellent work, and you want to have that same quality when you send it over. So if you're interested in doing it for prom or anything, funeral arrangements, anything you have where you need a photo or you need a banner, you need a flyer, anything you need, just contact her at ifedesigns@gmail.com. Facebook, you got a telephone number, whatever you need. You can go, if you hear this thing later on, you can also say, hey, I want to get someone done like that. She's got a lot of orders she's getting, but she does definitely have time to make sure that your order is taken care of and it's special the way you want it. So,
Thank you, babe.
last words before we go. We want to give a shout out to the Rockford Goat, Kenny Crawford, who always takes care of our show here. We would not be able to handle these situations without him. He has made this job so much easier for me that I can just focus on talking and not have to worry about the mechanical parts of the things that can go out. I mean, there could be something that go wrong and we won't even know it on our end because Kenny's handling it. If I'm handling it, you gonna know because we ain't gonna be talking to you. So it's a blessing to have the Rockford Goat, Kenny Crawford, here producing our show. Anything you want to say, babe?
Love you guys. I hopefully see you next week.
So we've got
You'll
about
see us next week.
5 minutes here, about 4 minutes. Make sure you check out our show each Tuesday between the hours of 6 to 9 p.m. only on Soar Radio. I am going to have to start making sure I do more advertising to let people know that, so I'm going to get that together soon. Pray for me. I'm working on this show called No Judgment. We want to talk about that. And I did have my paper down here. It's not beating you with the word, but meeting you where you are with the word. So that's what I was saying. It's not beating you with the word, but meeting you where you are with the word. So whatever challenges that you're going through, we're going to talk about anything. There's nothing off the table. We talk about homosexuality. You're having pornography. It's going to be no judgment. We want to talk to you where you are, and we're not going to beat you with the word, but we're going to meet you with the word to help you to get over those trials and tribulations in your life and become a better person in the name of the Lord. So no judgment is going to be doing that. I'm praying on that. I'm sending out words of encouragement so I can get that going, but be ready for that. Hey, babe, you ain't have anything else to say? Our last song is always Kenny's choice. So we're going to let Kenny pick out the song he's going to play for the end of the show. We hope you enjoyed being with us tonight, and we hope we see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on Soar Radio. See you then. Woohoo! All right. So you guys on Facebook, YouTube, we're going to say the same thing. Please invite somebody the next time. And let us know if there's something about the show that you like or even you don't like. Rick, you talk too much. Let Brenda talk more. I mean, you can say that. I'm not going to do it, but just say, just do that. Tell us some things that you like or dislike about the show, some things that you want to see. And do you think this show is fun? Do you think it's boring? Tell us, because we want to this is a ministry for us. We're sharing God's word. We're trying to do it in a fun way, and we want you to enjoy it too. So if there's something you see that you want more of or less of, improvements, let us know, and we'd appreciate it. And we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on Facebook, YouTube, and Soar Radio. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.